What's up guys, Mike here, and today we are looking at 5 of the biggest surprises of the 2018 NBA season. Now, we have already done this video, but that was 3 months ago, and a whole lot has happened since then. So don't worry, in this video, none of those topics are repeated. If you want to watch the old video that included guys like Victor Oladipo, I'll link that down below. But for now, there's really no more reason to have more face cams, so let's jump into this video with number 5, Damian Lillard. We've known for a long time that Damian Lillard is very, very good at basketball. But this season, Dame has gone from an all-star caliber point guard to one who could end up as a first-team All-NBA selection. That's how good he's been this year. That's how good the Trailblazers have been this year, especially recently. In the last 19 games he's played, Dame has averaged 31.4 points, 6.1 assists, and 4.2 rebounds per game. Those are absolutely elite numbers and have helped lead the Blazers to a 16-3 record in that time. Now, Portland is currently sitting as the number 3 seed in the Western Conference and are either the 3rd or 4th best team in the entire NBA. Going even further, I've got to say, this is probably my favorite surprise on this list because the Portland Trailblazers are just so fun to watch. They play with the energy of a new emerging team on the rise, and they've got the star power in Dame and CJ McCollum to make some serious noise in the playoffs. This team just seems like it has a roster that has managed to work everything out and begun to fit perfectly together. Portland doesn't have a ton of offensive stars like Golden State or Houston does. What they do have is 2 go-to scorers and a whole bunch of other guys who know their role and perform it as best as they can. Seriously, looking at their roster, only 3 players average over 10 points per game. Dame, McCollum, and Nurkic, who, quick shout out, has been a huge reason for why this team has taken a leap because he has finally given them a solid player at the center position. What's more, this team just has a chip on its back. Nobody believed they would be this good, and when it comes to Dame especially, no one has ever ranked him among the top guards in the league. He's always listed a tier below Steph, Harden, and Russ. Headed into this year, Bleacher Report even ranked him as the 7th best point guard in the NBA. 7th! So, if you think this year in the playoffs Dame isn't going to bust his ass to try and bring Portland a championship, you might want to think again because I expect big things from the Blazers to finish up this year. Number 4, DeMar DeRozan and the Toronto Raptors. The Toronto Raptors have just been around for too long at this point. I mean, that's gotta be it, right? Because right now Toronto should seriously be in the discussion for making the NBA Finals. Sure, they don't have LeBron James, which is a huge disadvantage, and sure, they have notoriously underachieved in the playoffs, which is another reason as to why people aren't really taking them seriously. But if there was any season the Raptors were going to seriously take a leap and make the finals, it's gonna be this one. The Celtics are still very young, and Kyrie is still injured, and we're not sure what's going to happen with that injury in the playoffs. The Cavs have played pretty well since shaking up their roster, but LeBron is going to be relying on a lot of guys that do not have playoff experience. Meanwhile, Toronto is playoff tested and their core is completely in its prime. Kyle Lowry's numbers are down this season, but he's still an all-star point guard. You know what you're going to get from him. Serge Ibaka and Jonas Valanciunas have provided a solid front court presence that has been able to take the load off the team's 2 stars, and of course, DeMar DeRozan has been the consistent scorer that the Raptors can look to close out games. What's more, this year DeMar has finally made the decision to start shooting threes, and that's going to be very important in the playoffs. We're in the modern NBA right now. 3-point shooting matters a lot. It never made sense to me at all as to why one of the game's best mid-range shooters didn't try his hardest in the offseason to develop a 3-point shot. Finally though, it does appear that DeMar is trying to do just that, and while he is only shooting around 32% from 3 on 3.6 attempts a game, fact of the matter is he's willing to shoot them, which means something to defenders as they can't leave him completely wide open. So in my opinion, these playoffs are going to be huge for the Raptors. They are currently the number 1 seed in the East by 3 games. They're probably going to end up as the top seed in the East, and they could have as many as 60 wins. There's no more excuses here. There's no more of DeMar saying they lost because they didn't have LeBron. Toronto, this is the year to prove yourselves. Let's see if you can do it. Number 3, Carmelo Anthony. The one and only negative surprise of this entire video is going to be the play of Carmelo Anthony. 2020. As of right now, the Oklahoma City Thunder are going to have a problem when it comes to the playoffs, because as a team, they're actually pretty good. They are sitting at 5th in the West at 44-32, and they're one of those teams that have so much talent that you just don't want to play them in the playoffs no matter who you are. And maybe Carmelo will turn up his game to another level when the playoffs roll around, but to me, that's a big maybe, because now at 33 years old, this has been the worst season of Carmelo Anthony's career by far. He's averaging just 16.2 points and 1.3 assists per game on around 41% shooting from the field. Normally, when a star joins two other stars, his numbers take a slight hit, but his efficiency ratings go up. Unfortunately, it's clear that Carmelo has not been able to fit into this offense, and his PER has gone from 17.9 last year to now just 12.7. That is not good at all if you are a fan of the Thunder, because seriously, what is this team going to do at the end of games during the playoffs? There are going to be nights when Carmelo just doesn't have it. We know this because those games have already happened quite a lot this year. I'm talking about games where Melo shot 5 for 20 against the Nets, 3 for 17 against Boston, 4 for 17 against the Kings. You get it. The man loves to shoot, and many times this year, that shot has not gone in. So the question is Billy Donovan going to have the balls to bench Melo during the crunch time of playoff basketball games if he just doesn't have it that night? The other question is, if he's benched, how is Carmelo Anthony going to react? Because I know that during the All-Star game, he said that not being an All-Star was part of the sacrifice he knew he was going to have coming to Oklahoma City, but what happens when that sacrifice also sees him watching from the bench at the end of games? I have no idea what the answer to my own question is there. Nobody knows. I don't even think Melo knows at this point, but I am very excited to see what happens. Number 2, the Utah Jazz. I've got to say that team-wise, the Utah Jazz might be the biggest surprise out of anyone this year, at least in the Western Conference. After the team's star player Gordon Hayward left for Boston in free agency, Vegas had projected them to win around 38 to 39 games, and they were not picked by most people to make the playoffs. Right now, though, the team is currently sitting at 42-33 and have been absolutely scary when Rudy Gobert has been on the court. The man has made a serious case for Defensive Player of the Year this season, as his impact cannot be overlooked. Jazz head coach Quinn Snyder has said about Gobert, his presence on the floor gives us a chance. He's our most important player as far as how he anchors our team. He's the foundation. And he's right. Without Rudy, the Jazz are a decent defensive team, as they rank 12th in the NBA in defensive efficiency when Gobert is not on the court. But with him, they become the best defensive team in the NBA, and the results certainly show that, as the team's record without Rudy is 11-15, and with Rudy, it's 31-18. That has to be pretty intimidating for teams at the top of the Western Conference. Now, I'm not saying that the Jazz are going to beat a team like the Rockets or the Warriors, but right now, Utah is just 1.5 games out of 4th place in the West. Depending on how these last few games go, they could really finish anywhere, and because they are such an elite defensive team, and because they played so well with Rudy Gobert on the floor, and he's healthy now, by the way, they are not going to be an easy first-round draw. The key, though, for Utah in the first round is, of course, going to be offense. Yes, they're going to be able to defend the ball. What they need is for players to put the ball in the basket. Right now, their main offensive star has been rookie Donovan Mitchell, who has been awesome, but again, he's just a rookie, and he's going to be playing playoff basketball for the first time. That's always very interesting to watch, as we all know the pressure and other teams' defense increase a lot when the games start to matter the most. So I'm excited to see if Donovan will be able to rise up to the challenge, and if not, can someone like Ricky Rubio or Derek Favors or Joe Ingles pick it up on the offensive end? That remains to be seen, but regardless, this has been a great season for Utah. And number 1, the Philadelphia 76ers. Unfortunately, the injury to Joel Embiid kind of makes the 76ers a bittersweet subject to talk about, but luckily Embiid's injury was just a freak injury to his face and has nothing to do with the other injuries he's had in the past, which again is bittersweet because if you're a Sixers fan or really a fan of the NBA in general, you don't want to see Joel injured. But other than this random injury, I've got to say this season has looked extremely promising for Embiid's future. I mean, I feel like every time I bring up the 76ers potential, I have to say the words, they could very well be a championship contender very soon, as long as Joel Embiid stays healthy. This season, the man has stayed healthy and the results have been incredible. Right now, Embiid himself has played in 63 out of Philadelphia's 74 games and has established himself already as one of the top big men in the league by averaging 22.9 points, 11 rebounds, and 1.8 blocks a game. Meanwhile, the rest of the 76ers core has also been outstanding. This was a team that Vegas projected to win around 40 to 41 games, and most people had the Sixers slotted in as the 8th seed, if not missing the playoffs. This team has clearly been way better than that, as right now they have already clinched the playoffs with a 44-30 record and are sitting as the number 4 seed in the Eastern Conference. And if you have to point to a major reason for this team's success, in my opinion, it all starts with the play of two of the team's young core. As we all know, Ben Simmons is having simply a phenomenal rookie season. He's averaging 15.8 points, 8 rebounds, and 8 assists a game, and is simply not playing like a rookie at all. He is playing like a future star in this league. He's someone that Philly's entire offense can run through efficiently, and every few games he makes a pass that reminds us that his court vision and basketball IQ are just on a whole other level. So already, Embiid and Simmons alone are basically the best thing that has happened to basketball in Philly in a long time. But these two young stars also have some awesome help in the form of Dario Saric, who has become a deadly threat from deep this year, as he is averaging around 15 points while making 2 threes a night on 40% shooting from beyond the arc. The play of Saric should not go understated. His ability to spread the floor is huge for giving Ben Simmons the court spacing he needs to create offense. In my opinion, it's just amazing what these young guys are doing this young. No one really expected this. I mean, it's really Embiid's second season, Ben Simmons first, Dario Saric is second, and their number 1 pick this year, Markelle Fultz, has played in 6 total games and has attempted 0 total threes. If Fultz can develop into the player everyone thought he was going to be coming out of college, then this core has serious championship potential. And that's without them adding any free agents like, I don't know, LeBron James? And so guys, those are 5 of the biggest surprises of the 2018 NBA season. Basically, the theme you could take out of this video is that the playoffs are going to be very, very fun. With the injuries to the Warriors players, there's a whole lot of uncertainty going on right now. So I'm just really hyped to see what happens. Anyway, if you're new to this channel, make sure to subscribe. I do videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday around 6 p.m. Eastern. If you are a fan of the sport of basketball, just subscribe because you're not going to want to miss a video. And if you're already subscribed, thank you so much for supporting. You're awesome. We all know it. And as always, have an awesome day, and cue that music.